better business, and a better life begin here. Welcome to Business is Art on TrueChat with author and business consultant, John Umstead.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Business is Art today. On the agenda for this episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of not going it alone. You know, so many business owners or organizational leaders do go it alone for any number of reasons. It could be perhaps they're overconfident in their own ability to do everything. Maybe it's due to budget constraints. They just don't have the budget to bring in some help to get a few things done. And another reason may simply be, hey, they just don't know who to go to bring in some of the expert advice or expert help or services that are required in order to make that business or nonprofit run more smoothly and more effectively. So those are the types of things we're going to be talking about today. And our guest is Michael Barnes. He is with Awakened Innovations. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey, thanks a lot, John. Great to be here.
We're glad you're here. We frequently mention on this show how it is vital and important to not try to go things alone. But we have not dedicated a show to that. So appreciate you being here and expanding on that particular topic because it's really important. And the work that you do is really important as well. And even gets down a little bit more specific than we broadly talk about on this show. So anxious to get into it. So why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, if you would, please.
Absolutely. I am Michael Barnes. I am the founder of Awakened Innovations, and we help nonprofits to save time and money by connecting them with high-quality vetted service providers. I often get asked, how did I get here? And it's a perfectly straight path, as most entrepreneurs have taken, said entirely tongue-in-cheek. So I actually came out to Cincinnati and got a PhD in genetics, worked at Cincinnati Children's Hospital for about 12 years. And, I did some great stuff there and built a business inside the institution, basically a biobank. So I was working in a nonprofit there. And when I eventually got it to where I had originally seen it, I moved on and ended up doing some business coaching. While I was doing that, I did a lot of networking, talking to small businesses as well as nonprofits. And what I saw was that they had the same challenges and they needed the same solutions. And I was also running into service providers. And so, I realized at a certain point that I can put the two together and help the nonprofits, go out and save the world. And so that's what I've decided to do.
Nice. So through Awakened Innovations, are there any particular types of nonprofits that you focus on, churches, foundations, certain industries, or just nonprofits in general? Sure.
That's a great question. And there are two answers to that. First, for simplicity of explaining what we're doing, a lot of times we talk about churches and schools, but the reality is that our services apply to every nonprofit out there. And in fact, we've worked with one of them that helps pets, one of them that is looking to help active duty service members, one that is, they're out saving the earth. So it really does apply to everyone.
You gave us a nice visual of your path, that it was a straight line into this type of work through Awakened Innovations. But let's get to the heart of it, though, because we talk about that a lot on this show too. The big why. Why nonprofits? Why is that something that is important to you and your mission?
So there are a couple of answers to that. The first actually comes from my passion for anti-human trafficking. So when I was at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, I actually developed my passion and was looking for ways to get involved. And I didn't have much time and didn't find a good way to get involved. So when I was doing my business coaching and networking, I started talking to a lot of nonprofits, especially anti-human trafficking, but also others. And I talked to one founder of a nonprofit, and she spent about an hour and a half almost crying telling me about how she had paid somebody $5,000 to build her website. He'd vanished. When they finally caught up with him, he's this high school student living in his mom's basement. There was nothing they could do. The money's gone, no website, and their mission suffered.
Oh, wow.
And as I said, I was networking, talking to service providers, and I knew that I knew people who would do a great job. And so, when I mentioned going out and saving the world, it's true. Nonprofits are out there trying to change the world, and they need help. And I saw this as a way that I could plug in and, help a bunch of worthy causes.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And for any of our listeners out there that are considering tuning out because we're talking about nonprofits, please don't, because a lot of what we're talking about applies to both the profit world and the nonprofit world. In fact, in business terms in general, that's true. Each of them have some unique challenges that are different, but there are a lot of similarities. And when you strip them down and just think of them as businesses, they all have a lot of those same challenges similar. So hang in there with us.
You're absolutely correct. And as I said, I was a business coach for 2.5 years, and the problems I see with nonprofits are the exact same. The reality is a nonprofit is a corporation. That they are a business. They don't talk in terms of bottom line. They don't talk in terms of profit. They talk in terms of doing more of their mission. And so, a business that I would go in and coach, I want to make an extra 100,000 this year. I want a new truck. A nonprofit has to do the exact same things, but they would take that 100,000 and, go out and feed an extra 50,000 people. So it's the exact same issues and struggles that a nonprofit has that businesses have.
Yeah. And on top, on the nonprofit side, they still need those trucks to get that food out there. And a lot of times, rather than being fully staffed with paid employees, they really count on volunteers. Even if they're quote unquote fully staffed, they still count on a lot of volunteers and donations and grants and things like that. So there is added pressure. They aren't just providing a service or even selling a service or product. They've got all of these other considerations that a for-profit doesn't. So I think in many ways it's a much bigger challenge.
Yeah. And in fact, if you look at the regulations, to become a nonprofit takes a lot more than it takes to become a for-profit entity. You can become a for-profit entity in a week, or in Ohio, you have to have your name, a business name, and an address to become an LLC. It easily takes 9 months to a year to become a nonprofit. So yeah, they have a lot of additional challenges.
Well, hey, let's send out an additional reminder to our listeners here. In addition to not tuning out just because you are a for-profit, stick with us. But we also want you to join our discussion. So, and to do that, you can find TrueChat on social media at TrueChat.org. That's TrueChat.org. Or reach out to me on Twitter directly at John Umstead. You can find me on LinkedIn. Go to my website, plancanvas.net, especially if you're looking for help putting business plans and strategies together and executing to them. But do start a discussion, again, either directly with me or with TrueChat. We'd love to hear what you think of this episode, what you thought of past episodes, and what you would like to hear in future episodes. So please do reach out to us one way or another. All right, let's get back to you, Michael, and continue this conversation. So let's talk about just outsourcing in general. A lot of times when we use that term, people think in terms of large enterprise that are outsourcing big bunches of work, maybe entire departments, perhaps offshore, perhaps onshore or near shore. But outsourcing also applies to smaller businesses as well as nonprofits, regardless of the size. So in any of those contexts, how can outsourcing be a game changer?
Yeah. So, the way that I put it is we help nonprofits to get we help them to get the support that they need when they can't necessarily hire all the outside talent that they need. So, it's as simple as marketing. It's as simple as building a website. It's as simple as writing grants. And so, a small nonprofit, even relatively large one, they may not be able to hire a full-time grant writer. You can't hire a website developer. And, if you're a big corporation, you hire 6 people for Facebook and 4 people for Twitter and that kind of stuff. Nonprofits can't afford it. And same with small businesses. So you hire out and you can get the expert talent that you need without having to hire an entire person. Because, again, nonprofits and small businesses, even mid-sized businesses, a lot of times can't afford a full-time person for all these positions.
Yeah, right. So can you walk me through your own business model? So let's say I'm a nonprofit and I've got a few needs. Let's say I need a website, I need a social media, and maybe I need a printer, whatever. And so I reach out to you and say, Michael, these are my needs.
Yeah, so I have a database of service providers, and I mentioned earlier high quality vetted service providers. So vetted means that we've checked them out as best we can. We've checked out their online reputation. When we can, we look at previous work and we talk to a couple of references. So we make sure that they're able to do what they say they can do. And if you contact me, and we do a lot of stuff beyond websites, but it's just an easy example that people get. You tell me I need a website of a certain size, I go through the database and I send you connections to the appropriate service providers who will do a good job for you.
That's excellent. Do you work in a general geography, or are you virtual, providing services to nonprofits virtually anywhere?
Everything is online. So it is virtually everywhere, depending on what the service is. So, we also have people who can help with setting up your events, but that's got to be in the location. But a grant writer, they can be anywhere. Bookkeepers, they can do that from anywhere. Copywriters, website developers, all that. So the vast majority of what we do, or the services we provide, can be anywhere. The one caveat is right now we're only operating in the US because laws and tax laws and all that kind of stuff are different once you get set outside of the US. And so I'm sure that we'll get to that. But right now we're dealing in the US.
Maybe all you need to, too. You never know. There's certainly no shortage of nonprofits that need help in the US. That's for sure. So let's take it from the other side of the house. So let's say I am a web provider, a web builder, and I want to work with some nonprofits. How do I get into your network? Do you find me? Do I find you? How does that work?
I should have mentioned when we were talking about nonprofits as well. So the simplest way, go to my website, and it is awakenedinnovations.com. And there's a tab for contact us. And under there, there's an application for service provider or for nonprofit. Fill those out. There's also my email address is there, michael@awakenedinnovations.com. My phone number is there. So, I will want to talk to people. I like to make sure that they sound reasonable. You can only get so much from a phone conversation, but there have been a number of people that I've talked to and not gotten back to after that. So, you can reach out to me. Be prepared to be vetted. I'm not joking when I say that we call your references. We look at your online reputation. We want to see examples of your work because we want to make sure that the people that we connect to the nonprofits are good people, both in heart, because nonprofits are all about heart, as well as skills. We want to make sure that they can actually do what they say.
Which is great because there are a number of charlatans out there, or maybe, not maybe charlatan is the wrong word, but, there are a number of service providers out there that don't know. I'm trying to be as kind as I can, but there are a lot of them out there that really don't know what they're doing, and it's easy to engage with them because the pitch sounds great, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm signing on the dotted line, and then you find out that they really don't have the stuff. They really can't deliver, and you've got to be very careful, especially with the independents and the smaller providers and the freelancers that are out there. So those reference checks are incredibly important.
Right. And one sad thing is a lot of people think that like practicing or testing on a nonprofit is a good idea. And, I don't think that they're bad people, but, people have this impression that it's easier to do stuff for a nonprofit or something. And so, we're going to give it away free while we're starting out. And then once we prove it on the nonprofits, then we'll go to for-profit businesses, which is not a great thing in my view.
Hey, Michael, let's take another moment here to remind our listeners of a couple of things. First of all of the podcasts on the TrueChat network pursue a common goal. TrueChat's mission is to educate people by providing honest, open, and respectful conversations. If you have any ethical concerns with today's episode, please email ethics@truechat.org. Again, that's ethics@truechat.org. And we have been talking about not going it alone and finding ways to reach out and get some help. And a lot of times, again, folks don't reach out for that help and do try to go it alone, again, for a number of reasons, either because they just think they can do it, so they're a little overconfident, or perhaps they are under budget, or not under budget, but under budgeted, just to have no money, or just don't know who to call. And so those are some of the services that Awakened Innovations help specifically with nonprofits. But the bigger lesson here for everyone is that you shouldn't go it alone. There are options out there. And when you can get help, you should take it, because none of us are experts in everything, and we all need help with something. So to that point, Michael, nonprofits and startups notoriously under budgeted, right? They just don't have the funds that an existing small, medium, or large business have. So a lot of them are reluctant to pay for outside services, even if they know they need it. And sometimes they might undervalue them. But how do you show a client or a potential client that the spend is worth it? The spend for your services and the spend for the services that you're going to introduce them to? Yeah.
And so there are a number of pieces to that. The first thing is I'm not really trying to sell them new stuff in general. If a nonprofit wants a website, I want to make sure that they get a good person. If they want someone to run their HR, they want to do outsourced HR, I want to make sure that they get a good person. So that's one piece of it. Another piece is some of our service providers who can immediately help them start saving money at no cost as part of the savings. And talking with my partner, Sandy, she's got 20 years in nonprofits, consulting and grant writing. So she knows how to get money. She knows if you're ready to get money. She knows what you need to do to get money. And so just, you talk to an expert in the field, and everybody that she talks to says, oh my goodness, all this makes sense. And so, part of it is not trying to push a product, and part of it is giving honest and excellent feedback on where the nonprofits are.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, without giving up anyone's confidentiality, are there any of your favorite success stories that you can share with us?
I mentioned earlier one of the lady that I talked to who had trouble with the website developer. She actually engaged Sandy, brought her on for some consulting. And at the beginning, she thought she was ready to apply for money. And Sandy came in and explained, you're really not. You've got a lot of structure missing, basically. And so, my business coaching always comes out. It's just like most startups, right? You get started and you do everything that you can, and, you forget to put in place the structure. And so this lady brought Sandy on as a consultant for a couple of months, and they actually started out by creating job descriptions for the volunteers, because one of the director's problems was she felt overwhelmed and she was tired and she was doing everything and she didn't understand why no one else did anything. And so they just created job descriptions so that the director was confident handing off work and people on the other side knew what they were supposed to do. And, her workload got cut in half. And so she was able to relax, get some energy back, and focus on director things. Business coaching, I'd say focus on owner things. It's, the similarities are the same, are overwhelming. So yeah, just helping her get out of that. And next time I saw her, you could see it in her eyes. She was just so much better off.
That's great. And, just something as simple as job descriptions can be a game changer for employers and nonprofits, because,
and employees,
go ahead.
They finally know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes all the difference in the world. Michael, I'm teaching a fundamentals in HR management course at Urbana University. And that was actually one of the topics of discussion here recently, was just job descriptions. And I kind of, spun away from the text a little bit and just tried to have a coaching moment with the students about the importance of job descriptions and in their own career paths. We're getting off topic here, but that's okay. Within their own career paths, as they go out seeking job opportunities, they should always ask for a job description, not because they're looking for a box to play in. And because, that was additional coaching. Never go into your employer and say, that's not in my job description, I'm not going to do it. But look for that job description, because if that employer has it, then they know what they're asking for. They know, and you get a better feel for the expectations. If they don't have a job description, you're probably going to have a tough time performing at an excellent level, because no one knows what the job is. So how can you do well at it?
Right.
Do you have any stories to share with us that are a little bit south of success?
Well, the stories I have that are south of success are mainly before we start working with people. And, it all comes back to talking to people who are overwhelmed and they don't know what to do. Right. I actually, one of the groups that I've been involved with, I was talking to the executive director, the founder, and she said, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I started this because of the mission. It's anti-human trafficking. And she says, I don't know how to do HR. I don't know how to do the taxes. I don't know how to do the forms. I don't know how to do volunteers. And I said, so, it's a fair question. So what do you like to do? She's like, I like to get that call at 3 a.m., hop in the van, go drive to someplace and sit outside till someone can come out and we drive them off to a safe place.
Wow.
And so helping people to understand where their skills are and then figure out where the gaps are and then figure out how to fill in those gaps. Maybe it's hire, she wanted money. So maybe you hire someone to write grants for you. I told her she probably needed to be like COO and she needed a CEO, someone who actually liked the business type stuff. So, it's all about people with incredible passion, doing incredible things and just doing it. We tell, or at least I tell business owners all the time, it's better to take imperfect action than no action. And nonprofit founders are doing that all the time, every day. And so when I can come along, usually a little bit down the road, and help them to do better, that's what does it for me. That's why I'm in this.
You're absolutely right. Any action is better than no action.
Right.
It's like you're standing on the road, truck is heading right at you, and you're debating whether to jump left or right, and you debate just a little too long.
Exactly.
And
even lay down. I mean, who knows? But you've done something, right?
Right. You've done something.
Try to jump. I don't know.
So, all right. Hey, I've got just a couple of final questions for you, Michael. But before I ask them, I do want to remind everyone one last time to join the discussion, if you will, please. Go out on social media, look for TrueChat. We're at TrueChat.org. That's at TrueChat.org, or reach out to me personally directly on Twitter at John Umstead, or on LinkedIn, or at my own website, plancanvas.net. Love to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, so please join us. All right, back to you, Michael, here for a couple of final questions. And one is just, we've covered a few topics here. Is there anything that we've missed that you definitely wanted to talk about on the podcast, or any final advice that you might have for any of our listeners?
Yeah. So the one important piece about my business is that the nonprofits do not pay for my service. So they negotiate pricing with the service providers, and the service providers reimburse me. So whatever the nonprofits work out with the service provider, that's it. There's nothing on top of that.
Okay. So you basically get a referral fee.
Exactly.
Finder's fee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I should add, because a lot of people say, why would anyone do that? You and I probably both know they pay marketing. And so, effectively I become their marketing arm.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful model. I see that model in all kinds of industries more and more. And it can be highly effective as long as, the thing about those types of models is no one can get greedy. Everyone has to be a true partner in it, and have fair and equitable arrangements. The moment someone gets greedy, it breaks.
Yeah.
Why don't you repeat for us, if you would, where can people find you, your work, or any special causes that you would like to mention or repeat?
Absolutely. So we are at awakenedinnovations.com, and my email is michael@awakenedinnovations.com. And I'd love to throw out special causes, but they all are. So, anybody who wants to help a nonprofit, I can certainly, in terms of service provider, I'd love to have you sign up. But, if you're looking for just anything to help out with or whatever, I've got plenty of them that I can refer you to as well. So just tell me what you're looking for.
All right. Good deal. Well, listen, we really appreciate you being here talking about this today. I think it's a great service that you're providing, and the price is right for the nonprofits. That's for sure. Right.
Absolutely.
So if any of you are out there running or starting nonprofits, give Michael a call. Got nothing to lose but time.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, John.
Okay, so folks, you can listen to TrueChat podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere fine podcasts are found. So for TrueChat, I'm your host, John Umstead. This is Business is Art. We thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Be the change.